Bonjour mes amis, hi guys, back on the channel, the Lange Odysseus in steel. We had briefly talked about it with our favorite Lange collector who collected his at the boutique, but his was still unworn, under wraps, he's still babying it. But here I have one which is actually for sale. It has been worn a little bit. It is available at the Backwatch department. Links in the description for the details and the pricing for this gorgeous watch, which as you can see just wears perfectly on my 17 centimeter flat wrist. Such presence. So the model came out in October 2019, and that was before the pandemic, before watch prices and the craziness of the steel sports model really took off to heights never expected. But already that blue dial steel sport trend was very strong, and at the time people questioned the looks of this watch. People were saying that Lange was forced by its owner, the Richemont Group, to make a steel sports watch. People said it didn't look like Lange enough. It wasn't Lange to do a sports watch. Fast forward, the hype for the steel sport just took off. And this one became very difficult to get, and the more you spend, the easier you can jump the queue at the boutiques, leading to frustration from other Lange collectors. I know actually some buyers who have been on the wait list and kept getting bumped backwards because others would come and spend more, but also because Lange has been really careful who they allocate these to, because it's never a good look for a brand if a watch that's difficult to get goes immediately on the second-hand market. And we can talk a bit further exactly who this watch should be for, who should be allocated the watch. In terms of pricing, when it came out, it was sub $30,000, so competing with the Royal Oak steel, with the Nautilus, but yeah, Richemont has been trying to grab more of I suppose the hype within their retail price, and the price right now is nearing $40,000. At which point you have to wonder if it's still a buy or not. So really, I feel a bit like the hype train has tainted the perception of everything, and I really want to try to see beyond and really take my time looking at the watch, trying it on. Because if you ask people to name three hyped watches, this one will never be mentioned. It will be the Daytona, the Royal Oak, and the Nautilus. So was this one just taken on a ride in the hype train, or does it stand on its own merit as a watch that should be trading at premium because it is hard to get, or are people getting it just to flip it? It clouds the mind, but let's imagine for a minute that this is readily available at the boutique, and then we can judge it on its own merits. The collection has grown from this steel to a white gold, and then a titanium, and of course the two buttons were calling for a complication, and now the automatic chronograph is out. But what we have here is the original, the steel version. I won't show you the case back of this particular watch because the brand is very careful in the allocations, and as a result, if the lucky owners resell the watch too quickly, the brand doesn't appreciate it, although I think that everyone, I mean, the one here has been worn, and maybe it's not to everyone's taste. So what do I like and what do I not like about the watch here? Now, first, the color, I think it's the ultimate blue. As you can see, there is a coating. The blue is just a wonderful shade. It is very, very elegant. And overall, I find that on the wrist in person, the watch has a formidable character and gravitas. Same thing when you put it in the watch box next to watches, especially of a lesser price point. It looks like nothing else. It really stands out and has a substantial feel that you don't really get with other high-end brands. When I put this on the wrist and look at myself in the mirror, it is silly to say, but I do feel like a gentleman. And as Hodinky put it 3 years ago in an article, it gives you a feeling of aristocracy. What I really like is that it doesn't shout, "Look at me." So while there's a bit of beveling with a bit of polishing, it doesn't shine like a Royal Oak does. It doesn't try to dazzle, doesn't shout, "Look at me." So it is really more appropriate for a wealthy gentleman that just knows he doesn't need the watch to do the talking for him. Likewise, by the way, the clasp is just beautiful. We'll come back to it in a second. I think that the side pushers, which on picture look quite prominent, they are actually very delicately done, and in person I feel that it's very elegant, that you wouldn't know that there are pushers there. I like how they integrate to this design. To me, really, it is very Lange. And speaking of those pushers, when you compare how Patek integrates the pushers when they do a chronograph on the Nautilus, it's really ugly. I think this is really well made. Now, in terms of the polishing, as I was saying, I do appreciate that each portion of the bracelet has actually a little bevel all around it, so adding a bit of distinction to it. I don't believe that the Lange actually makes the bracelet or its cases. I think they share the same maker as Zinn for some watches, and it has changed over the years. Maybe it's made in Switzerland, maybe it is made in glass shooter. Likewise, the button is not unique to Lange, but it is fantastic. So you can remove or add length really easily. The double trigger is excellent. You get a feel a bit like what you get when you close the door of a German watch. And yeah, overall it feels like such a versatile watch. It wears very much like a steel cuff, very soft, very sweet. And the resizing is also very chic compared to the competition, because you don't see any, one here. Most of the links have no sign. You have a double dimple at the bottom, I believe, to be able to remove all the links. And then here you have, I think, a half link. Probably I would need an extra half link here. This one is not sized for my wrist exactly. So maybe only the half link will have that little dimple on the side. The other ones will have the dimple, as you can see, with the little arrows at the bottom. So it's very chic, much better than the competition. Now, things I dislike about the watch. Well, first, the rotor is unidirectional winding, and when it spins here and there, when you turn your wrist, it is quite noisy. Patek, GLC, the Vacheron 222, even Rolex to a lesser degree suffer from the same issue. It is more efficient to have a unidirectional winding, and it's on ball bearings to avoid needing to service too much, so less damage. But I find it a bit annoying, and I've noticed it. The bracelet, as I said, is not in the house, so it's not the it's very beautiful and it's impressive, but it's not the same artistry that you get from the Royal Oak, of course, and the Nautilus, which are known for the extensive polishing, which to me attract the eye too much, but it's part of the beauty. But here you have a watch that, you wouldn't mind scuffing a little bit. It's not going to damage the impression of the look, while a scratch on a Royal Oak will be very, very visible. Now the date button, Lange is known to have a great feel to their buttons, to the date, and the one of the day is very smooth, while the one for the date is actually very stiff. It's a big click. Just something to note. I'm not sure why, but if you know why, please share in the comments. But it's not a big issue. The date is screwed down, 120 meters of water resistance. And by the way, I forgot to mention the caliber is the first, it's called a Datomatic, 50 hours of power reserve and 4 hertz. It's meant to be a bit tougher. What I feel about the caliber is that there's minimal beveling, there's no interior angle, so it's not that difficult to finish. I mean, all things considered, the engraving is not very extensive because the full bridge is smaller than other bridges we've seen from Lange, and overall there's not that much to look at and justify the high prices. And the buttons, yeah, of course, are cool, but once you've set the watch, if you wear it regularly, you have 50 hours of power reserve. You'll only need to use the date button at the turn of the month, if the previous month was not a month in 31 days. In terms of the accuracy, from my experience, the Lange are not the most accurate watches. They can deviate quite a bit. So yeah, conclusions. As I said, it gives you a feeling of aristocracy. It's a lot more wearable, less flashy than the Royal Oak, the Nautilus, which is probably better if you live in a big city. Although in Hong Kong, in Singapore, you're fine. Japan as well. Now, who is this for, and what about the availability? I kind of feel like this is meant to be, just like the Nautilus, the weekend watch for the guys who buy the very expensive pieces from the brand. And in that sense, it makes sense that the waitlist favors those who spend big money on the perpetual calendars and such from the brand, because this should not be the aspirational watch of let's say the best watch in your collection. In my case, my best watch maybe is a Calatrava, let's say. This would be 3 times more than what I've paid for it. We can debate whether it's 2-3 times more better, but it's meant to be the sports watch for a weekend. So for someone like me, my ideal sports watch is more like a Rolex sport, right? My Explorer, for example. At the same time, the counterpoint is that if I'm thinking about, okay, what is the best watch? What attributes should it have in terms of the complication, in terms of the lume, the water resistance, the comfort? This one ticks all the boxes. It is perfect on the wrist. It's beautiful with the blue. I can wear it every day. So if you look at it that way, then this is the one I should get. Would I get it at 40,000, the current retail? No. Would I get it at a premium? Even less. Would I get it at the original retail price? Well, then yes. And would I get it over a Nautilus or a Royal Oak if those were available to me? Ooh, that is difficult. I feel like this one is indeed more complete, more wearable, more original, and more noble. especially because people talk about it a lot less. It's difficult now to wear a Royal Oak or a Nautilus, and I feel that there's more conversation to be had about this watch. But yeah, also from the same group, you have the IWC Ingenieur that people say is way overpriced. But in terms of the bracelet finishing and the impression, it's not that different, and somehow this watch justified the price, the 12,000 retail of the IWC from the same group. So everything is kind of tied up together. So at the end of the day, I feel like this watch is gorgeous. A couple of things I don't like as much that would prevent me from having to have it at all costs, but at the same time, this might be perhaps the perfect watch. I was always thinking about making a video about, okay, what is the ideal watch? And I often fall back on the Rolex Explorer 2 because it kind of does a bit of everything that I like, and maybe on the higher end for the wealthy gentleman, then this would be the one. And of course, you might say, well, if you're going to have the Date 8 and that kind of budget, well, then get the Date 8, which doesn't need the side pushers to be adjusted, and you get white gold or rose gold or yellow gold, and it's a very valid point. And maybe a white gold Date 8 with a nice dial color would be the natural competitor to this watch, which is in steel. So yeah, there you go. The watch is available at Backwatch department. If you have the money to have it, it is absolutely super cool, wonderful. Do it all, use it every day. Go to the beach with watch, and let me know, guys, what you think. So much has been written, so much has been said, but in the metal, wow, it is unlike anything else and a real treat. Bye bye, guys.